Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to The Devil's Rejects. This is a donation reward for Sweet Venom, and is the sequel to House of 1000 Corpses, the Rob Zombie film that we reacted to weeks ago. I don't remember exactly how long ago it was, but we reacted to that prior. So, yeah. This is a sequel to that. That's pretty much all I know about it. We know how the last one ended with kind of the reveal that the murder family and the fried chicken clown guy, I can't remember their names at the moment, but we find out that they're working together at the end. So the question is now, is this going to directly follow the events of the previous film, or is it going to be sort of a successor in the realm that it follows maybe the same villains but different victims, or what? How's this going to go? I don't know, because I'm new to these movies. I didn't get into them when everyone else did, so I didn't really hear much of anything regarding them either. But I'm definitely interested to find out. The first movie was pretty good. Not anything amazing. I've seen better, but pretty good. Definitely the clown guy was the best part of it. Sid Haig playing the role was great. He did a fantastic job. And it was fun. It was fun. So hopefully this follows kind of in that. But yeah. So we got this, and then there is one more in this trilogy called Three from Hell. So that's going to be at some point in the future. But yeah, I guess we'll just see how this goes. We'll just see what happens. And if you hear that at all during the reactions, that's my phone. Technically a new phone from the one I used to have. That's just the notification sound. I could probably turn this down. Hold on. Yeah, now it should only buzz. Yeah, it's just, I got a new phone. If you guys didn't hear from Discord or whatever. I got it from my sister. It's another hand-me-down. The old one was really starting to fuck up in so many different ways. And she had this other one, so she gave it to me. And this one is so much better, drastically better. Not only just in better condition, but it's just a better phone. And I kind of question, it's why didn't she give this to me in the first place? Though it is weird that the fingerprint scanner's on the back next to the camera. But yeah, it's so much better. I have more on here than I ever had on the other phone, and there's still a shit ton of room. So that should give an example of how much better it is. Random little plug for my phone here, but yeah, I think that it's neat. But yeah, I turned it to buzz only, so it shouldn't be too distracting during the reaction. But yeah, so I guess we'll see how this goes. This movie is just under 2 hours long, according to what I have here. I assume that's including the credits, but I'm not sure. I guess we'll see. I'm hoping that we get some interesting kills. It sounds really morbid, but whenever you watch a horror movie, it's you want the kills to be interesting. It's just getting stabbed or something is kind of boring. It's you want them to do something fresh and unique and creative with it. You know what I mean? And I'm hoping that there's a little more balance in this one. And what I mean is, the last movie started off more comedic, and then it just took a big tone switch into more classic slasher horror kind of tone. Like, yeah, there was still maybe a little bit of comedy in the later parts. Um, Once they reached the murder family and everything. I mean, the one dude was turned into modern art, but it very much took a big tonal shift, and I feel like part of that comes down to leaving the clown guy behind. Sid Haig was so charismatic and funny that when they left him behind and just started focusing on the murder family, it became so much more serious. And it just I wanted it to be more balanced in this film. I hope that they not just have Sid Haig throughout more of the film, but I want there to be more. If they're going to have comedy, have it sprinkled throughout. Don't just have it in one portion of the film and then just abandon it. Have it sprinkled throughout. Have it be there every so often. Like, you could still focus on a lot of the classic horror stuff. Like, that's great, but just strike it out a proper balance this time. Don't make or at the very least go fully one way or the other. But if Sid Haig is returning in this, which I believe he is, I believe he's in all three movies. If he is returning in this, you can't just have it be pure serious horror, because you just can't do that with him. He's too funny. He's too charismatic. He did a great job in the first one, and if he's going to be in this one, you have to have that return, you know? But yeah, I'm still just hoping for a good one either way. Obviously, I'll be comparing it to the first to see how it stacks up in terms of its quality and its content and whatnot. Um, but we'll also judge it on its own merits too, in the ways that it is different, in the ways that it's its own thing. We'll go by itself as well. Though it is a sequel, so you do kind of have to judge it in line with the previous film. That is just how you judge sequels. It's like it's part of the same trilogy. So yeah. It's not like the Romero trilogy, I think it's called. Like with Hot Fuzz and all that, where the movies are actively different stories. It's not like that. Like this seems to be all probably the same plot line. At least from the little bit I can tell. Again, I don't really know where this is going because I never really paid attention to this back in the past. And since I'm just newly getting into it, I don't have any of that foreknowledge. But yeah, I'm excited to get to this, so let's just do it. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode, or to the movie, rather. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I looked it up, and apparently this movie takes place about half a year after the first one. I've seen 6 to 7 months, basically. Which I don't know if it was mentioned, I just missed it in the movie, but yeah. So about 6 to 7 months. And, I mean, I guess that's enough time for Otis to have grown his beard, but it's like, that's a really thick, full beard. Obviously, I know the actor, Bill Moseley, probably just grew the beard himself, and it's like, you know, it just happened. It's not touched upon or really talked about at all. It's just there. It's not that big a deal. It's just something noticeable, and I was wondering how long it's been. to grow a full beard like that in 6 months, it's like your facial hair must grow really fast, though. Uh, but yeah. Also, they apparently had police photos and stuff already, so they'd already been caught by the police in the past. So that's interesting to know as well. And in the photo, he had the beard as well. So maybe he had just shaved it off during the events of the first film, like around then. I don't know. But either way, this was better than the first movie. I'll just say that the tone felt more consistent throughout. It didn't feel like it started off a little more silly and got way too serious, which is funny to say as well because according to this, I was looking up some stuff as well. After this, um, according to this, let me see. Okay, here we are. With Devil's Rejects, Rob Zombie has said that he wanted to make it more horrific and the characters less cartoonish than in Corpses. He also wanted to make something that was almost like a violent western, sort of like a road movie. So that last part, violent western, I very much see western influences in this. But honestly, the first movie was more horrific. The first movie felt a lot more shocking and scary and like actually horrific in terms of its kills and content and whatnot. Um, this felt like it was toned down and not in a bad way. I'll get to that, but it felt less horrific, ironically enough, and the characters felt less cartoonish in the first one. So it's like if that was his intent, he completely went back on that. Um, because it's like it's just they're I don't know how to put it. Because when I say that they're more cartoonish in this one, it's like it's not a bad thing, and I'm not saying it's just it seems like all of the characters have more of a fun side to them that you really didn't see as much from the family in the first one. I feel like again when you got to the family in the first movie, the tone took a very serious turn. It was less goofy and less silly and less cartoony, honestly, in my opinion. That was what I was saying in the pre thoughts and all that. It felt like it completely switched tones there, and there were still jokes and the characters still acted a little goofy here and there. But I'm talking like the overall tone and feel of the characters and the story. It was definitely a lot more intense and horrific and frightening and serious once we reach the family compared to the stuff before with Captain Spaulding and all. But in this one, because we know right from the start that Captain Spaulding's part of the family, and because the plot is more focused on kind of a revenge tale and the manhunt for these three, it's it allows it to it allows it to feel more well put together. Like it's more consistent in its tone throughout. It feels like there's a good blend of the goofy comedic senses and the the more serious, horrific, scary, and intense stuff. And so that's pretty interesting as well. Um, According to this, though, Sherry Moon Zombie, Baby's actress and Rob Zombie's wife, she said she doesn't see the film as a sequel. She says it's more like some of the characters from House of 1,000 Corpses came on over and now they're the Devil's Rejects. Like, it's just taking the characters and ideas and going with that. But it's quite literally directly a sequel. Like, we literally follow the events of the first movie with the sheriff wanting to get revenge for his brother and everything. It's like, it's very directly a sequel. So I don't really know what she's quite on about there. So yeah, that's interesting. Also, interesting is apparently the principal photography was emotionally draining for some of the actors, according to this. Sherry Moon Zombie remembers the scene that she had to do with Forsyth, who was the sheriff, and it required her to cry. Probably the scene near the end of the film. The scene took 2 to 3 hours to film and affected her so much that she did not come into work for 2 days after. It's like, this is something that you have to acknowledge with a lot of films that are very intense like this. It's like, a lot of times the actors are also being put through some intense shit. And it's not always going to be a situation like with The Shining, where the actress from that was like basically literally tortured by the director to make her performance in his eyes better. Not gonna get into that entire shit show here, though. That's a different topic for a different day. But you have to realize that actors will go through shit when filming some of these movies. Sometimes things will affect them very hard. You gotta realize they're people. Actors are people, and they're affected by things just like any of us are. Just because they're famous doesn't change that. So yeah, the fact that that would have been so emotionally draining for her is completely reasonable, honestly. Apparently, the film also went through the MPAA 8 times, and earned an NC-17 rating every single time until the 8th time. According to Rob Zombie, the censors had a problem with the overall tone of the film. Specifically, censors did not like the motel scene between Bill Moseley and Priscilla Barnes. Basically, him raping her. Forcing Rob Zombie to cut 2 minutes of it for the theatrical release. But it was restored in the unrated DVD release, which that tends to happen with a lot of movies. I'm assuming I saw the unrated DVD version, because it's like, I don't see how that could have gotten that much worse. Like, that was a very horrific scene. Without question. Now, as for the critical response, as always, take it with a grain of salt, but Rotten Tomatoes gives an approval rating of 55% based on 139 reviews. Critical rating, of course. The consensus reads that Zombie has improved as a filmmaker since House of 1,000 Corpses and will please fans of the genre. But beware, the horror is nasty, relentless, and sadistic. Roger Ebert enjoyed the film and gave it 3 out of 4 stars, saying, "There is actually some good writing and acting going on here, if you can step back from the violent material enough to see it." Let's see. Rolling Stone's Peter Travers gave the film 3 out of 4 stars and wrote, "Let's hear it for the Southern Fried soundtrack. From Buck Owens' Satan's Gotta Get Along Without Me to Leonard Skinner's Freebird playing over the blood-soaked finale, which manages to wed the Wild Bunch to Thelma and Louise." Richard Roper gave the film a thumbs up for being successful at its goal to be the sickest, most twisted, most deranged movie at that point of the year, 2005. And here's an interesting little one. Stephen King, yes, that's Stephen King, rated The Devil's Reject the 9th best film of 2005, and wrote, "No redeeming social merit, perfect 70s C-grade picture cheesy glow. This must be what Quentin Tarantino meant when he did those silly Kill Bill pictures." So, pretty notable praise there, and also a little shade thrown at Kill Bill, which it's like Kill Bill was good. I liked Kill Bill. uh, I like most Tarantino films. But yeah, apparently Stephen King really liked it. It wasn't like his top, but it was in his top 10 films of 2005, so hey. But here is a negative review. James Barandinelli was very negative, giving The Devil's Rejects half a star out of a possible 4, and called it a vile, reprehensible movie, saying the action was more formula than plot. He described the dialogue as a pastiche, at least I think that's the intention, of the kind of bloodthirsty, overripe lines found in a genre of films from the 1970s about outcasts who defy society by destroying it. He was extremely critical of the acting, directing, and the production values, with an ending that was a cataclysmic misfire, and overall was not engaging cinema. James, my good dude, you must be high as a kite. I don't know what you were smoking, but this was, like, really good, actually. A lot better than the first movie, in my opinion. I was also looking at the cast, and apparently one of the brothel girls, Candy, she's played by E.G. Daily, and I'm thinking about it. It's like, I know that name. Who is E.G. Daily? She's Tommy Pickles on Rugrats. The voice of Tommy from Rugrats was a brothel worker in this movie. She's also Buttercup from the Powerpuff Girls, Rudy from Chalk Zone, and so much more. The fuck? It's like I was looking through the cast and I was like, I know that name. Where do I know that name for? It's mostly Tommy and Buttercup. Like, those are the big ones for sure. But yeah, I've seen Chalk Zone and all too. Apparently, she was the voice of Babe in Babe Pig in the City. It's like, what the actual fuck? That is absolutely insane. Like, I could not have even begun to guess that. She also did voices in a Goofy movie. She was in, she did voices in Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. She was Captain Sticky in Recess School's Out, which is a great movie, by the way. And she's been in so much more, too. She was in Wreck-It Ralph as multiple voices. Let's see TV stuff. Darkwing Duck, the 93 TMNT. Timon and Pumbaa series, which I sometimes forget that was a thing. Yeah, she was various voices in the Recess series, the new Batman Adventures. It's like she's been in so much, like, stuff I watched as a kid. And now I'm seeing her in a 2005 movie with her playing a brothel worker. And there's nothing wrong with that. I want to make that clear. There's nothing wrong with her playing a brothel worker. Apparently, she was also in Rise of the TMNT. She's in Kid Cosmic, too. And she's also the voice of Tommy in the Rugrats reboot. So that's fun. Also, she's a singer. But yeah, it's like, I knew I recognized that name. And it's like, I'm fine with her playing any role she wants to play. It's like, I just was not expecting that. That caught me so far off guard. It's not funny. Also, apparently, one of the officers who was wearing a gas mask was played by Kane Hodder, like Jason Voorhees, Kane Hodder. So that's fun as well. Just a fun little cameo thrown in there. And I think everybody else is pretty much the same as we knew. So yeah, really interesting stuff there. I know he was technically playing a bad guy in this, but seeing like my face lit up every time Danny Trejo appeared. It's like I'm sorry, I just love him so much. He's like one of those actors who, anytime I see him in anything, I am just going to be extremely happy. I don't care who he's playing. He could be playing one of the most twisted motherfuckers out there. I don't give a shit. It's Danny Trejo. It's T.O. Danny. It's like I love him. I love him so much. He's so wholesome and cute and just I love him. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not going to apologize for that. It's like there are just certain actors I feel like that everyone just really lights up whenever they see in anything. Just actors that are just like that, like just joyful to where it's like no matter who they're playing, it's just like you see them in anything and it just makes your day. It just absolutely makes your day. So seeing him in this, it's like, oh yeah, that definitely elevated the movie for me. Even though his role wasn't too important, um, I mean, it was important enough. Like, it wasn't like a bit role, but yeah, it's like I really thought he was just. It was just wonderful to see him. I also wanted to touch on Ken Foree, who was Charlie, Captain Spaulding's brother, because I mentioned in the reaction and everything that he looked very much um like he would be Sig Hade's brother. Like they look so much alike, they act so much alike. It's like it was perfect casting. Um, he's Keenan's father from Keenan and Kel. And it's like when I found that out, my mind was blown, and it's like, oh shit, he is. He was Roger Rockmore, Keenan Rockmore's father in Keenan and Kel, and it's like, oh shit. It's been a while since I've watched Keenan and Kel, but it's like, yeah. Also, he was in Dawn of the Dead as well, which also been a while since I've seen the original Dawn of the Dead. I think I only saw it like maybe twice. Um, he was in the Rob Zombie Halloween as well, so I would have seen him in that. Though I don't know what role he played. I just didn't directly remember him, I guess. Um, he was referenced in Shaun of the Dead, which makes sense that they would reference one of the protagonists from Dawn of the Dead in that movie. Because apparently Sean is an employee of Forey Electronics. What else has he been in offhand? Anything else that I would very much know him for? Let's see. So far, I'm not seeing much of anything. He's in like episodes of shows I've seen, like The X-Files, but it's like I wouldn't remember a character from a single episode. Yeah, I guess in Halloween, he played a character called Big Joe. I don't remember who that is. Da, 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 da. Yeah, other movies I've heard of but have never seen. It doesn't look like I would know him from much of anything else. But yeah, so that one was pretty interesting to find out about as well. Um, so yeah, I think it was a really good one. Again, it's interesting that Rob Zombie said he wanted to make it more horrific, but it's less so. And let's touch on that because I think the killings, the gore, and everything, I think are just less horrific. Like I think the sexual assault scene, the rape scene, was obviously the most horrific scene in this, um, without question. Uh, but besides that, just like the rest of the film and just overall, it was. I would say it was not as bad. I don't think it was. I think that maybe it's because I was expecting it a little more. With the first movie, it was like more like, oh, I hadn't seen this before, and with this movie, it's like it's a sequel, so it's like I'm expecting it to be like that. I don't know, maybe that's it, but it didn't feel more horrific. It felt like things were a lot more just. Okay, let's put it this way. This felt less like a horror movie. I think that's a good way to put it. The first movie felt like a horror movie. You have these dumb kids who are the what was it? They were making a documentary, right? That's what it was on different roadside attractions. You have these dumb kids making this roadside documentary. They go to this to Captain Spaulding's, and then they are led to this house where they start being killed and tortured and stuff, and it's like, yeah, it feels like a horror movie. This one, like I said, the comparison to a western is actually pretty spot on. This feels more like a western than a horror movie. It feels more like, oh, we have these horrific, evil, terrible people who are killing people and torturing and raping. It's like, yeah, but the tone of the movie doesn't come across as horror. It comes across as like a thriller, sure, but it's not as horror feeling as like the first movie was. And as such, the kills and stuff don't come across as scary and everything. And again, aside from the rape, it's like this. A lot of the stuff that happens isn't even as horrific. It's more controlled and everything, and it feels less shocking when it happens. Like none of the deaths really surprised me, you know. Like none of them really like shocked me at all. It, it's just, and I mean, in the first movie, it's more of like how it was done that shocked me. That was more surprising, than rather the deaths themselves. But you get the gist of things. Hopefully, you guys know. For those who are new, just letting you know, I'm not good at explaining shit. I am terrible at that. Um, I do my best. I do my best and hope people understand what I'm trying to say. My only issue with this film is the ending just doesn't feel like it has as much impact. I would not say that it was what. How did that one critic put it? Let me see here. Ah, yes. The ending that was a cataclysmic misfire. It's like, my dude, hyperbole much? It's like you are exaggerating to heaven and back with that one. Um, it's like, I just think that it doesn't hold as much impact knowing that there's a third film. Let's put it that way. I feel that like if I had seen this when it first came out and didn't know there was going to be a third film and just thought like, okay, this was going to be it, then I probably wouldn't have minded. It probably would not have bothered me at all because it would have felt like, oh, okay, they're dead. And then when the third film did come out, which was 2019, again, a long time later, over a decade later, almost a decade and a half. When that would come out, it's like I would be more surprised to see that they're all alive and everything. But again, knowing that there's a third film and all, it's like, yeah, it's not going to surprise me. Like there's not really tension or anything in the ending because it's like I know that they're going to survive this and probably be arrested, but survive this. So it's like, okay, I'm not really blown away by this ending. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad ending or anything. Um, it just because I know there's another, it just didn't hit as well as it should have. I think that takes away a lot of the kind of did they die or not mystery of the ending there, because it kind of feels like it was purposefully being left vague, but again, knowing there's a third takes that away. So, um, but yeah, it's like I enjoyed this just in general a lot more. I thought it was good. I mean, it's what I expected it to be, but also took it in a direction that worked a lot better for tone and style than the first movie, I feel. But that's just all my opinion. So let me know yours down in the comments below. And for now, well, for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. So see y'all next time.